Hi, and welcome to the VR Gaming podcast and commentary about VR gaming, VR news, VR hardware, and VR reviews. I'm your host, Nick Lane, and with me is Justin Davis. Justin, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Nick?
I'm good. It's we're kind of in full swing for the summertime. I've still managed to play some VR, although admittedly not as much as I normally do. I don't know in the winter, spring, and fall. But still got some gaming in. What about you?
Yeah, I've gotten some in recently, but prior to that, I haven't gotten to do a lot of VR, but mostly that's because of my baby taking up a lot of my time.
Understandable. All right. So Justin and I have 4 games to review with you guys today. I'm going to review Tower Tag, the Morrigan, Phantom Covert Ops, and Iron Man VR. But first, we got some news to go over. Not a ton of news, I guess. When I was putting together the news section today, I try to do this in terms of what stood out for me without having to kind of go back and dig through news in the last month. Like what were the news stories that were important to me that I thought were pretty big, to sort of avoid getting into the minutia. I had 2 of them that kind of hit my radar, and then Justin reminded me of an important one, which we'll get to that one, the last bullet point. But the number one thing that came to mind for me was that Star Wars Squadrons was announced within the last month. That is going to be Electronic Arts' first VR game, if I'm not mistaken, that they're releasing. It's a game that has VR support, so it's not made exclusively for VR, which I think is a good thing. This is a 5v5 space sim set in the Star Wars universe. I'm actually really excited for it, not because I'm a Star Wars fan, which I'm actually not. I'm guilty maybe of being not a Star Wars fan. I can care less about the IP, but I do like kind of these combat flight sim combat games. I remember playing and getting I think the first game I downloaded for VR was Eve Valkyrie, and that game kind of died off, but it was pretty good, and I like that. So I think that. I think that this is going to be a good hit, right? Because it's on all these platforms. It's on Xbox, PlayStation, Windows. It's on VR. It's Star Wars. I think this is going to get people into VR, maybe who haven't gotten into it yet because it is Star Wars. I think it's pretty exciting. That's due out on October 2nd. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, that might actually get me to buy a HOTAS because I don't have one yet. Do you have one of those?
I do not, and I've never used it. I don't have the space, so maybe that's a good thing. So I can save some money. But yeah, I know people were excited that they did indicate that they're going to have HOTAS support.
Yeah, and it's cross-play between all those different platforms. So yeah, I have a friend who's a huge Star Wars fan, and he's not going to get VR, but he'll play it on his Xbox One or whatever, and we could play together. So that'll be fun.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't sure, I didn't see that, but that's huge. I mean, that's super important because one of the issues in VR is that still not a ton of people have VR, and when a multiplayer game comes out, unless it's like a huge hit or a majorly anticipated game, it could have a limited audience and then the game dies, which is sort of happens. I think is one of the problems with Eve Valkyrie. Anytime I look at the reviews or people talking about that game nowadays, is they'll say it's dead. The fact that it has crossplay, it's Star Wars, it's on all these platforms. You're not going to have that issue. You're always going to have people to play with.
Definitely.
And go ahead, Justin.
No, you can go ahead.
I was going to ask you because I know what HOTAS is, but for viewers listening, can you explain it?
Yeah, throttle and stick. I'm trying to remember the HO. See, I don't have one. Man. Something throttle and stick.
Okay. It's kind of like I would call it like a serious setup, right? It's not like this casual thing.
So you have an actual throttle in your left hand where you can control the speed of your ship, and then your right hand you have the stick where you're controlling your yaw and your the angle of your nose of your craft.
Nice.
I'm not big into these types of games. Oh, that's hands-on throttle and stick.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Awesome. There you go. Yeah, I'm not. It's weird. I'm excited for this. I don't play these games currently, right? Like I did get Eve Valkyrie, but I don't seek these games out. But I'm really excited for this. I think it's been a long time since somebody's done a really good kind of combat flight sim like this. I think it makes sense. I remember X-Wing versus TIE Fighter was a big deal in the 90s. I remember in the 90s playing like the Wing Commander 3, that kind of stuff, and spending a lot of time with that game. So I'm very optimistic about this game. I think EA is going to do a good job. It's got the IP. God forbid you put out a disappointing game with Star Wars, people will go nuts. So I think they will deliver on it, and I think this is a big win for VR. And when I think about all the announced VR games that are coming out in the future, this one is at the top of my list in terms of what I'm excited for.
Yeah, one worry I have about it is correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's only $40.
I don't know. I don't. That's that's weird, right? I mean, Star Wars. Why can't you charge $60? Like, what is it about the game that if they are charging 40, they look at it and they say it's a $40 game?
Yeah, there's a single player part of it, but I'm worried that means it's going to be really short. Yeah, it's $39.99. I just looked it up.
Interesting.
So there's going to be multiplayer and single player, but the single player might be really short, and then it's just a mainly multiplayer game.
Which, to be honest, I mean, that's the way I look at it. I think that, it's great. It's a bonus when it has single player, but I wouldn't be buying it for the single player. I'd be buying it to, play with friends, right? Have a group of friends and a squad of 5 and battle it out against other people online. And I imagine they're going to have depth to it and unlocks and leveling up and things like that. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, and one other thing was that... what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say.
No worries. If it comes back to you, let us know.
All right.
Let's move on to the next note I have here in news. This is maybe not a huge one for a lot of people, but Facebook announced that they're retiring the Oculus Go at the end of the year. So the Oculus Go was a headset. I remember getting this almost exactly 2 years ago. It came out in May 2018. It was the first standalone headset that Oculus put out. It was 3 degrees of freedom versus the Oculus Quest has 6 degrees. So I think what they've indicated is that, look, 6 degrees of freedom is the way to go. Therefore, this is obsolete technology, and we're going to phase it out. I don't use I almost never use my Go, but if I am traveling, if I am flying on a plane, it always comes with me. So I found it very useful in that sense of like waiting in the airport, and if you don't mind putting on a headset, if you have somebody with you, it worked out good. And I found it's lighter, it's more comfortable than the Oculus Quest. So if you have the Go, to me that's for viewing media or experiencing media. It's got a good displays. It's not a good gaming headset whatsoever. Whereas the Quest is the gaming headset, but if you want to consume media and watch it, it's not that comfortable. So I don't know if this is good or bad news. I think there is room in the market for a headset where you're just consuming media. So I don't know. I'm not upset or anything like that. It's just some news that came up. I guess there's no big surprise, but the Oculus Go is going to go away.
Yeah, I never had a Go, but I had a Gear VR, and I don't use it at all anymore. So I don't know. I think it's fine because I'm sure that confused people a lot. People that were, probably tons of people went and bought a Go thinking it was a Quest, and people that didn't know any better.
No doubt. Yeah, I can see that. It's got to be confusing, right? You see this cheaper option, so yeah, I'm going to grab that for, a gift or whatever. I just want to get into VR, and then being disappointed and saying I don't really see what the big deal about VR is, because it's not good for gaming. It's not great for gaming whatsoever.
Yeah. I even remember seeing Go and like Gear VR commercials where the people in the commercial would be moving their head all over the place, and that's gonna confuse everyone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I don't know. I wonder if there is a market for this really comfortable light headset that's more geared for viewing content than gaming, but whatever. I guess if I traveled more, if I was traveling all the time for work, then I would be using my Go a lot more. But as it stands, it's just sitting collecting dust right now. Oh, all right. And then this is one that you brought up that I forgot all about. I can't believe it. It's the HP Reverb G2 was announced. That is a headset. This is HP's third iteration of a headset. So they had the HP VR headsets are Windows mixed reality headsets. So they're in that family. HP put out a headset for Windows mixed reality, and then I think it was last year they came out with the Reverb, and now they're coming out with like Reverb 2.0 or whatever. I guess they're calling it the G2. But what really caught my eye, I guess a couple things on why this is important. One, people had been speculating or wondering if when Microsoft is going to have like Windows Mixed Reality version 2 out, right? Because Windows Mixed Reality, when it came out in 2017, was impressive at the time because they were the first inside-out headset tracking VR devices. They also had better resolution than its competitors, which was HTC, Vive, and the Oculus Rift, the original one. Well, now that we've got the Index, we've got the Cosmos, we've got the Rift S. Those are all better than the initial offerings from Windows Mixed Reality. Their inside-out tracking's better on the Oculus Rift. So, I wouldn't recommend anybody go out and buy a Windows Mixed Reality. So, but boom, here it comes out this announcement from HP Reverb, and it's an update to Windows Mixed Reality. It's also it's a partnership between Microsoft and Steam. So I don't know what that means. The controllers are reimagined. They've got the ring like the original Windows Mixed Reality controllers, but they ditched the trackpad. It looks a little more ergonomic. Looks a little better. The resolution is, I think in their advertisement, 2.5 times the amount of pixels as the Rift S.
It's 2160 by 2160
resolution.
In each eye.
Yeah.
It's the highest resolution you're gonna get, like, as far as like the fill rate, and you'll see the least screen door, from what I know.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's got 4 cameras on it versus 2, which what the original Windows Mixed Reality headsets all had. So better tracking, inside out tracking. It's $599, and the interesting thing is that this is in partnership with Valve. So this is good. This is a good sign. Microsoft's still working on stuff. They're partnered with Valve on this. It's a great move. If you look at the design of this, it has elements of the Index on it. It has like the Index speakers on it. It has sort of like the Index back strap on it, like the back padding. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Justin?
If I didn't already have an Index, I definitely would get this. But because I have the Index, I'm not that motivated. I have a friend who all he has is a Quest and he wants a PC headset. I was like, yeah, you should probably get this G2 because this thing sounds pretty awesome. And the original Reverb had problems with the display. Like there were Mura issues. Mura is where you have like unevenness in the lighting of the pixels, and like in a dark scene it'll look all cloudy. Or you can see, especially in like, for example, PSVR, on that display, you can see, even in brightly lit scenes, I can see unevenly lit pixels. And that's what Mura is. But apparently the G2 fixed that problem, from what I've heard. And there were also issues where people could see the edges of the display. It was like too obvious. But from what I heard from MRTV, he said he didn't see it anymore. So this G2 sounds like it's a really good headset, from what I've heard.
Nice, and it's I see that it's 90 hertz, which is fine. To be honest, I play most of my games in 90 hertz on the Index, even though the Index can go up to 144.
Yeah, me too.
To play a game of 144 takes a beast of a machine, and even with my 2080 GPU, it's just I don't want dropped frames. I don't want to deal with that, so I just keep it simple a lot of the times and play that. So that's not a big deal. It's nice, obviously, I like having the option, the Index. Don't get me wrong, but not a big deal. That's at 90. If they dropped it to 80 or something like the Rift S, then I would kind of call them out for that and say, I don't know about that. But 90's fine. Did you see what the FOV is? Have they seeded that?
Oh, I didn't see that. No,
I didn't either. Okay, so we don't know what the field of view is. I imagine it's probably like 110. It's the standard, I would call it.
I'm looking on the site right now. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing them say it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess there's nothing. They're not bragging about it, so I'm guessing it's not over 110. I think it's got to take a beast of a machine to run though at that resolution too, though, right? I mean, you're talking like a 2080 Ti. I'd have to imagine.
Probably, but you probably don't have to super sample as much as you do
True.
with the other headsets. Like with my Index, I super sample less than I did with my Vive. With my Vive, I usually super sampled at 2.0, and with the Index, I'm fine at 1.5.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
There's a lot of games that I guess the most important thing is to me is the frame rate, right? So a lot
Yeah.
of games I'm happy running at 100. Like if I load it up and it looks good,
Hmm.
I'm fine. If
Yeah.
it looks a little bad, then I'll play around with it. I'll get the FPS toolkit out, right, and,
Yeah.
and play with it. But yeah, I'm fine with it there. So yeah, good point. I think this is like your friend example. I think if you have somebody that looks at the Index and says, "Man, I'm not spending $1,000 on a VR headset," or "Listen, I'm not spending not only $1,000, but I can't hang up the base stations in my room," then this might be the go-to headset.
Definitely, definitely. And also you can like move it, into different rooms more easily. You just got to move a PC or have multiple PCs in your house. It's more portable. That's one reason I got the Rift S is that I could just move it to any room and not have to worry about, the base stations.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that, for sure.
Yeah.
And with 4 cameras on the tracking system, I mean, it's pretty good. The 2 cameras on the Samsung Odyssey that I had, for the most part, did the trick. It's nice having the Index and like never losing tracking kind of deal because it does help with immersion. Sometimes if the Windows Mixed Reality, when it does lose tracking, you're like, okay, this is not right. Like your brain just does a thing. Even though I can play games competitively and I'm not at a disadvantage, but still, yeah, I think this is good. It's a good price point coming in at $400, less than the Index, makes it competitive. It's more than the Rift S, but you can justify it. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. I'm not going to buy one. I love the Index, but it's something to recommend or talk about when you've got friends getting into VR.
Yeah, I had an Odyssey Plus briefly, and I thought the tracking was pretty good. I was surprised by how good it was. So this will probably be better with 4 cameras.
Yeah.
But what did you think of Odyssey's controllers?
You know, I had used the Vive wands a little bit before I got the Windows Mixed Reality controllers, and I mean, they were fine to me. They were perfectly fine. The Odyssey controllers were fine. I no issues with them, and in fact, I thought they were better than the Vive wands because they had a joystick on it, right? Like, I only used the Rift. What are they called? The Rift controllers. Touch. Yeah, I used it when I got last summer the Quest to try it out. So I'm like, okay, I get why people love this. So yeah, the Touch was way better than the Windows Mixed Reality, but I would say Windows Mixed Reality controllers at the time better than the Vive wands, and the Touch are the best, right? I don't know. Did you feel differently about that?
My only issue with the Odyssey controllers was like most games weren't, for me, they weren't using the analog sticks. At least back when I got the Odyssey Plus, it just wasn't working by default. So I had to use the trackpads.
Yeah.
Did you ever come into that problem?
Yeah. It wasn't a big deal. I know what you're talking about. Some games towards the end did update to use the stick. It's kind of like how they were programmed, right?
Yeah.
And because Windows Mixed Reality is, not popular compared to the Vive or the Rift, they just didn't do a great job programming for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did run into that issue. I didn't mind using the trackpad when I had to use it, but obviously sticks are much better in my opinion.
Okay. Oh, and then your batteries, they ran out pretty fast?
More, yeah, I don't know. I would always kind of put a fresh pair in for a gaming session, and I had
Okay.
rechargeable batteries. So again, I use I game a lot on Xbox, so I'm used to like swapping batteries out all the time. It just wasn't a big deal to me. I've never run out of batteries during a VR gaming session on a Windows Mixed Reality, but I only play maybe at most for 2 hours in a row, right? I mean, maybe if somebody's doing like a 6-hour session, maybe then it becomes an issue, but
That
I
would
don't
be
know.
me.
Okay. So did they run out pretty frequently or?
I didn't have it long enough because it was too uncomfortable for me.
Hmm.
But I heard lots of people saying that the batteries died fast,
Okay.
so that's why I asked.
Yeah, again, I never played more than 2 hours, so it wasn't an issue. I do like the index controllers,
Yeah.
how the batteries are built in. They last a long time. It's
Hmm.
nice. There's plus and minuses to it, right? Like, if the index controllers
Yeah.
run out, if I forget to charge it, then I'm screwed. I can't play
Yeah.
for a while. Versus when you have rechargeable batteries, you just swap them out.
Yep. Yeah, I
So.
need to get rechargeable double A's, definitely.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I hear about people who have controllers like Windows Mixed Reality or whatever, anything that uses a
Right.
battery. And it's like, how are you not using rechargeables? It's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I have a Rift S and that uses regular batteries, and I just keep putting in,
Oh, dude.
putting in batteries that I have to buy.
Use
Yeah.
there's like $18. You can buy like these. I think there's Eneloops,
Okay.
something like that.
All right.
Comes with like 4 batteries in a charging pack. Will last you forever.
All right.
You're
Good.
good.
Thanks.
Yeah. All right. There's a pro and life tip right there. All right. Let's move on to the review portion. Hopefully guide you guys in the right direction of what games to play over the summertime. We're gonna start off with I think my favorite that I've played in the last month, which is Tower Tag. I don't know if the official name is Tower Tag VR, but it's Tower Tag. It's by VR Nerds. It came out May 28th in 2020. It retails for $19.99 on Steam, but it's currently 50% off during the Steam Summer Sale, which ends, I think, July 9th, if I'm not mistaken. This is being recorded on July 6th, so by the time this goes live, you might have like 2 days. So there you go. You get rewarded for listening early. Was a game. I think this company is based out in Germany. This was a game, I guess, that was designed for VR arcades, and I can totally see that. But they decided to bring it to the home market. And sometimes when I initially hear that, I'm like, well, this can't be that good. I just don't have high hopes for an engaging game that was designed to be played for like 15 minutes or so, and then people move on and forget about it, right? But the premise of the game is kind of very self-explanatory in the title. The title is good at describing it. It is, think about like laser tag or paintball. It's up to a 4v4 match. You have your side of the map. Enemy has their side of the map, and there's these towers in between. And what you do is you have a gun, and the gun can kind of lasso a tower in a way. Like you point at a tower, hold down the button, and it will start converting that tower to your team's color. And when it's converted, you can aim at the tower and kind of pull towards it, and it will teleport you over to that tower. So this is a game that utilizes a play space. I think it's at least 2 by 2 meters. It doesn't have to be huge, but you have to have a room scale. You do have to have room to play this game, so keep that in mind. There's no artificial locomotion. It's just you moving your body around. And as you pull yourself to these towers are represented as like in the middle of your play space, and that's what you use for cover as well. So you're kind of peeking out, shooting your gun, and trying to take out the enemy team. There's 3 game modes. There's elimination, there's deathmatch, and then there's I think it's called goal tower. So elimination is that, let's say you're playing a 3-on-3 match. You kill somebody on their team, they're dead until the round ends, and then the round starts over after everyone's dead or whatever, and a team gets a point. Deathmatch is maybe 5-minute rounds. How many kills you get wins, and then goal tower is taking over the enemy team's tower by successfully getting over to their side, and then kind of doing that. I'm calling it a lasso. It's probably not the best description, but like taking over that center tower. This is very much a team-based game. So if you're like me and you like team-based games, I play like a ton of Overwatch. I love games that require communication and coordination and that are multiplayer. I think you'll like that because this is the definition of this game. It's simple. I mean, I can explain it. Hey, you take over towers. That's how you move around and you shoot the enemy. That's the heart of it. If you've ever played paintball, I grew up. I played a bit of paintball back in the day. same thing. Using cover, moving around, moving your body around. You're gonna, if you play long enough and you move a lot, you might start to break a little bit of a sweat. You're gonna kind of feel good about yourself because you're moving around. That's another thing I think I look for in a game. So let's. I'll move on to the graphics. And now, Justin, you've played this game a little bit, right?
Yeah, every time I played it was with you and those other guys, and yeah, I wasn't very good, but I tried.
Okay. All right. I kind of pushed you and talked you into getting it. So,
Yeah.
I think I've got maybe like 10 or 12 hours on it. It's been a long playing game for me, which is a good sign. So, I'll kind of go through each bracket. Graphics wise, I think this game is polished graphics wise. In fact, I'm very impressed with it in terms of the look. Like, just like subtleties, like shooting your gun, and you shoot the gun into the wall, you'll see like some smoke come out from it, and the smoke is just well done. There's definitely a lot of effort put into the graphics. It runs quite well. I can keep a steady 90 frames per second. The only time that it dips on my index is like when I'm like almost above the map after I've died and I'm looking down on everything. There's a little stutter, but gameplay wise, it's perfectly fine. And the aesthetics of the game is I'd be surprised if this is not true, but they definitely took inspiration from Tron. They had to. Even the team colors, they call the teams fire and ice. The colors are like orange and blue, very like almost like dead on Tron colors. So it's got that vibe going for it. I totally dig it. What do you think about the graphics, Justin?
I think they're pretty simple. I mean, maybe even a little too simple for my taste. I like more colorful, and it's kind of a lot of black and blue and maybe gray and silver. So that's what my take is on the graphics. They're not bad. It was sharp. I don't remember thinking they were bad at all. Just nothing that really caught my eye.
Yeah, I guess to that end, there's not a lot of variety in the graphics.
Yeah.
So like I'm a Tron fan. Like the vibe that they're going for kind of nails Tron, but it also limits it in terms of you're not going to see like these great outdoor scenes or stuff. It is very much what you see is what you get, and that's going to be it for the game. Okay, sound wise. So why don't you lead off with the sound? What did you notice about the sound? Did anything? I know you haven't played it much. Did anything stick with you in terms of the sound?
Well, you can hear the opponent's shots coming at you from a distance, I think. I can't really think of. I mean, is it good at telling you like what direction those shots are coming so that you know, hey, I gotta like move this way really fast?
I think so. Yeah, the only problem that I had sound-wise is during the gold tower game, and I think they're going to address this, that when your tower's being taken over, you can kind of tell directionally where it's coming from, but it's the same noise that when you're taking over the enemy's tower, so it can be confusing in that sense. And I think they will address it. I will say this: the developers are very active with this game right now. I think they're really pushing for this game to be something, and in their minds, maybe an esport, but that's the vibe that they're going for.
Yeah, I kept seeing updates on Steam for this game.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is fine. It's not like I would beg to download the soundtrack, but it's good. I think it definitely gets the job done, and it fits kind of the world that they're going for and the vibe of the game. So I'm cool on sound. I didn't see any issues other than the fact that they do need to add controls in there, such as like being able to mute people. It's lacking some standard things that should be in a game, right? I think more control over, and especially just being able to mute, which is coming too. They have mentioned that. All right, controls. What do you got to say about the controls, Justin?
I don't remember having any issues with the control. Well, actually, I do. Actually, there were control issues, but I think you might have said they patched it where like healing was kind of a little bit difficult, and sometimes I felt like lassoing just wasn't reacting the way I wanted. but that might have been patched. I haven't played it in a while.
Yeah, so they did. One of the early problems was you can heal your teammates, and how you do that is you point your gun at them, and you use the same button as kind of lassoing onto towers. But like the detection of trying to heal your teammates was just really finicky. You had to be really precise. They fixed that, so that's definitely better.
Okay.
You could play this game with one controller. You just use one gun, so you don't need two of them. And they actually have you can 3D print the gun. I think that only applies to the Rift controller, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. So that's kind of cool of them.
Rift S controller or Rift original?
Good question. I know the original Rift because one of our friends that we play with, he has that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't have a 3D printer or anything like that. I don't know if they have for the Index, but it's a nice touch. And I asked him, and he prefers it with the molded gun for the game. So that's cool. But it's pretty simple. I think they addressed the control issues that were inherently there. I think they're better now.
Yeah, and I think gunfire, I had no issues with that. I felt like that was pretty accurate.
Yeah, there was a small subtlety. I don't know if you noticed it, but with the Index, I didn't notice until somebody pointed out in the forums. With the Index controller, you have to pull in all the way in for it to fire, versus just pulling the trigger slightly.
Oh, really?
And then once you notice that, you're like, okay, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I probably just ruined it for some people, but it's fine.
Yeah, because there's a click at the end. Is that why?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think they're going to address that too, if they haven't already in the recent patch.
Okay.
Immersion in this game. I gotta say that when I first got into VR, I thought like room scale was awesome, and I thought that was what made VR special. Like one of the first games I played was Space Pirate Trainer, and that was like when I realized how awesome VR is, just being able to move around in your play space. And now it seems that there's a lot of games where you just don't have to move around physically because you just use your joystick, right, on your controller. I think a strong point of this game is the fact that you've got to use your play space. You got to move around.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love hiding behind cover. I love popping out. I love being like physical in the surroundings. I think that's what makes this game special, and I think that definitely is where it hits a home run on immersion. In fact, it makes me wish that there were even more games like this. I think it's not anything mind-blowing that they did, but it just makes me think, man, why aren't there more games like this that are multiplayer where you're moving around more? I don't know. So that was a big selling point for me, and I think one reason I really like this game.
I completely agree, but I also like single-player games that do not have a duck button, and the only way to dodge is to like actually physically duck and hide behind structures and stuff. But yeah, once they add the free locomotion and all of that, then that's what everyone ends up doing, and most people just stand in one spot. And I was on some forums, and some people were complaining about this game, saying that they didn't like that it was room scale, and that they didn't have enough space. So I've talked to a lot of people where they're like, their setup is just like a standing setup, and they don't have any room. Like, so maybe that's a problem that's going to hurt the game.
Yeah, maybe.
But,
yeah, it's weird because when I think of VR, like I think like you have to have some space for VR, and the room where I have my game in, I mean, my play space maybe at best is 2.4 by 2.4, which now some people might say, man, that's a ton of room. Doesn't seem like it to me. So, yeah, don't let that like discourage you if you're listening to this and you like the idea of it. You don't need as much space as you think. It's too bad to hear people say that because I'm with you on there. Like I love the physicality of VR. I think that is the definition of immersion. That
Definitely.
when I have a bullet coming at me or an object coming at me, I physically need to move to dodge it. Right? Like that's I'm in the game then. If I'm just standing still. Pavlov, you can get away with standing still for the most part and just use your joystick even to turn around, especially when you have a wired headset. So yeah.
In Pavlov, you're not going to be able to dodge those bullets. In this game,
right.
You can actually, they're not going so fast that you can't dodge them. You can see them and anticipate them.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, last ability on this game. That's a good question, because this game is going to live or die by the multiplayer population. And right now you might have trouble getting into games, and this is kind of the caveat for this game. I don't know if starting out this game at $20 was a great idea. I think maybe if it was like $10, even though it might be worth $20, that would have helped people take more of a chance on it and play it. Because if people buy it and they don't have a group of friends to play with like we do, then and you can't find matches, then you might move on or refund it or be disappointed. It's early, so it's hard to say what's going to happen with this game. Take advantage of Steam's policy of being able to get a game and try it out within 2 weeks or within 2 hours, whatever comes first. And check that out. I know that the developers are being aggressive. They got it to go on sale at 50% off, even though it just came out less than 2 months ago, which is good. They're very active. They're listening. They actually just did. They wrapped up what they called a Tower Tag Summer Cup. So I signed up. I played with my group of friends in it. We got eliminated the first round, but it was fun. It was free to join. They gave away $2,700 in prizes and cash. So it's really cool. I mean, they're really trying with this game, and you can tell that they're passionate and they care about it, and they're trying to drive an audience to it. So just be careful. If you don't have a group, I would say try it, see if you can get in there. You might have to refund it or wait till it goes on sale again or it gets more popular. Don't give up on it though. If you have a group of friends, I think this could be a great game for you guys, because if you have a group, you're set. You can just play. We can play with your friends. You don't need to have randoms playing.
Aren't there bots though?
There are bots. So I don't know how great the bots are, but yeah, the bots can get the job done. I know that in their roadmap they want to make better AI. They said in the roadmap they're going to have ranked matches. They're going to have different avatars you can unlock. So they want to do more. I think in the forums they mentioned having more than one type of gun. It'd be interesting to see what happens with this game. I think it can be a really good multiplayer competitive VR game that scratches an itch that things like Pavlov, even though Pavlov's really popular, can't do just because of the physicality limitations, right? So I think this might be the best game right now that's a team-based game that takes advantage of the play space.
Yeah, I can't think of any others that are like that.
All right, rating-wise, Justin, where would you land on this game? I know you've only played a couple times, so.
Okay, I'm not a huge multiplayer guy, but I mean, I liked it. I think I would, as far as multiplayer games I've played in VR, I think I'll put it at a 7.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna go with, so I'm really hot on this game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go for 7.5, only because I think there's room for improvement. There's things like being able to mute the other players. I should mention there are 10 maps in the game. There's 3 game modes. That's awesome. I think that just being a little cautious between the player base, that matters a little bit. But I think there's room for improvement in terms of the things that they promise, like ranked matches, unlocked avatars, maybe additional guns, things like that. So it's the kind of game that's at its base, it's a really good, solid game, and can only get better from there, and can go up considerably.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the Morrigan. I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly, so we can get through the other games as well. The Morrigan, which we've both played, I've got like a little over 3 hours on it, and you were telling me that you've played a little bit, but not too much, right?
I barely played it.
Okay, fair enough. This is made by the Pixel Mine Limited. It came out March 31st, 2020. I think it was in early access before that. Maybe that's the official date. It sells retails for $19.99 on Steam, and it's currently 40% off with a summer sale. So that's not the sale price. That's the retail price, $19.99. So you can get it cheaper than that. I got it on sale when it went on sale like a couple months ago. So this is a game that's it's a dungeon crawler. It's a single-player game. It's in the same vein as Vanishing Realms. Mm-hmm. I said that right? Vanishing Realms. That's the name of it. Yep. Carnage Chronicles kind of esque game. What's the VR Dungeon Knight? That kind of game, right? This is made by an indie studio. I don't know how many people worked on this game. Maybe just a handful, for all I know. That's the thing. So if you like those types of games and you think those games are good, then I'm going to say right off the bat, you're going to like the Morrigan. If you don't like those games, then this is not going to be the game. This game's not going to change your mind. It's a dungeon crawler. I think there's like a princess or a queen or somebody that's captured. You got to go after. Blah blah blah. Not a ton of story here, whatsoever. You're just transported to one level to the next, and that's it. And that's it. I think maybe I've got to be like 80% of the way through the game. I'll probably beat it at some point. But just to run through this, I'm just going to go really quickly. Graphics are, again, sort of the Vanishing Realms-esque style, VR Dungeon Knight style. I thought they're pretty good. They're simplistic but good. You want to add anything to that, Justin?
I think, from what I remember, I think the graphics were maybe a little bit better than Vanishing Realms, but not that much. Like maybe the lighting was a little bit better.
Yeah, that's
Maybe.
accurate. No, that's a good point. I'd agree. The sound, I haven't played the game for a couple weeks. The music actually, I remember playing it and I was like, this music is better than it should be for a small indie game. So good on them for that. Other than that, it was fine. I didn't notice any issues with the sound. Thought the music was particularly good. I'm just gonna run through this stuff, Justin. The controls on the game, they were okay. The controls were a little wonky. Sometimes I'm grabbing things I don't mean to grab. I'm using the index and stuff, and that doesn't happen on every game. So I think it's how the designers program it.
The controls were my problem. Sorry.
Got you. Perfect. Then take it away because I had slight problems, but
I couldn't keep my weapons in my hands. Like they would just keep falling out, and then I couldn't pick them up. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know if they've updated it since and now it's better, but it was just like the worst. I was in the very first room, and I just could not get anything to work in my hands, and I just refunded the game. I don't know what the problem was with Index.
Yeah, I don't know. I downloaded this game maybe in May, and I didn't have those issues. When did you last play it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it might have even been last year.
Okay. Yeah. So I can tell you they fixed it. I mean, the game is definitely playable for me.
Okay.
It was the odd thing that maybe I didn't mean to grab this or that, but not a big deal.
Okay.
It wasn't the kind of thing where it turned me off to the game.
Okay.
But this game has the combat. It's got melee combat, and it's pretty good. It's not Walking Dead, level of physics, but it is like you got to block and you got to fight. You got to block, parry, and then an attack. I think it's better than Vanishing Realms. I think it's better than Carnage Chronicles. I think out of those, I think it's better than VR Dungeon Knight. I think out of all those, this one actually has the best combat in terms of that. So I think they did a good job with that. All right, the immersion. Again, this game is you can pick up stuff, you can grab stuff. It's okay. It's on par with all those games. It's on par with all those games. Lastability wise, I think for the price, the retail price without it being on sale for $20, probably gonna get 4 or 5 hours out of it.
It's $11.99 now.
Yeah, that's not bad for $11. Again, if you like those styles of games, this is better than Vanishing Realms. It's better than Vanishing Realms.
I'm tempted to try it again.
Do you like those style games?
Oh, this is my favorite style. Like Skyrim VR. Skyrim VR is my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I gotta get back in there and play that, but I don't know if it I don't know. I played it a lot when I first got into VR. Then I think you'll be happy with it, Justin. I think they fixed the issues that you had. So I'm racing through this game because we've got other ones to get through. So I'm gonna give this game a solid. I think it's a 7. I think which is more than I gave like Vanishing Realms, more than I gave Carnage Chronicles. It's a good 7. It's a good 7.
I can't rate it because I haven't played it enough.
Fair enough. Yeah, check it out. What's on sale? You'll know really quickly if it's better for you, but it should be. It should be.
Yeah,
I thought that, you know what? I thought that there was some creativity in the level design too. I like that. Again, this is like an indie kind of game, so I don't expect much. But I go into a level. I'm saying, okay, this is pretty good. You guys had some variety here. It's cool. I like it. They definitely put an effort into it. This wasn't like a phoned in thing. This is like so much better than Carnage well, it's so much better than Carnage Chronicles. You know my problem with that.
Yeah.
But it's so much better than Vanishing Realms too, in my book. All right, that's the Morrigan. Okay, so you've got the next two games. I have not played them, so this is all your show right now, man.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Phantom Covert Ops came out for Oculus. It came out for Rift and Rift S, and also Quest. It's a cross-play game. It's by End Dreams. It came out June 25th for $29.99. So in this, you're an elite covert operative with one night to prevent all-out war. Basically, you get intel that the Russians are going to nuke us, and you got to go in there in a kayak and stealthily stop them from doing that. So you go in with this kayak and this paddle. The first you get airlifted down into the water and you just start paddling, and it feels great. I mean, it's just 1-to-1, and I've kayaked. It feels like I'm kayaking. It convinced me. And you have night vision goggles. You have a sniper rifle, an assault rifle on your back. You have a pistol on your chest. Then in the kayak, there's little compartments for magazines, and eventually you'll get grenades, but they're like noisemaker grenades or to distract the guards and stuff. So what you do is you kayak through the levels, and when there are enemies, you're gonna want to use your night vision goggles to mark them. So if you get them in your sights, it marks them and will keep them tracked. And then you can also mark objects of interest like generators, barrels, boom boxes, there's all these different things that you can use to create distractions, so that the guards, like, say they're facing where your kayak is going to go through. Well, if you shoot a boom box over here with your one of your guns, the guard will go, "Hey, what was that?" and turn around and walk over to that, and then you can paddle on through undetected. And then there are like generators you need to blow up to make something happen. Then there are like cameras that are pointing where you're going to need to go through the water. You're going to have to turn those off. So then you have to find ways. There are slightly branching paths where you can go, and you can find like a lever that'll disable that camera, and then you'll be able to go through that area. So the game's like that. It's mostly stealth, but you can kill people too. Sometimes it's better to go stealthy, because there were a lot of times. I mean, I died a lot. I died over 10 times in this game. And it was because I started shooting people. And once I started shooting people, they just went nuts on me. And you're just a sitting duck in that kayak. Unless, even if you hide sometimes, it's like too late. They already know where you are. So you're making your way through the water. It's funny. You have to suspend disbelief because, I mean, they have this whole compound set up perfectly for you to come in with a kayak and disable everything and kill everyone.
That's someone that they weren't planning on is the man with the kayak.
Yeah, they had no idea kayaks exist. So yeah, and so the graphics were, I mean, they were really good. They were impressive. I felt convinced as I was kayaking through. The water looked good. You can take your paddle and you can hit the water and it'll splash, and you can push up with your paddle against like objects or against walls, and it'll push you away, and that's nice. So when you're going through, there's like reeds of like tall grass in the water, and as your kayak nose goes through it, the reeds will fall down realistically, as you'd expect. So that's cool. But if you reach with your hand will just go straight through the reeds. Like how most VR games have always been. You can put your hand through everything. This game is mostly like that. Because I was trying to touch lots of things with my hands, but it's just passing through it, unfortunately. The sound, I don't remember anything special about the sound, just pretty average. The sound, I mean, you can hear the guards talking. Well, thing that's cool is as you're kayaking through, you'll hear these they're all Russian, so they have like kind of comical Russian accents. So they're like, so then I went over there and she said this. You know, it's like an American trying to sound Russian. But some of their conversations are funny, so that's a plus. But then, like, you know, usually you'll just end up killing them after that, because yeah, like their backs turned to you, and you're just like, I'll just take you out.
Did you finish the game, Justin?
Yeah. So the game is It took me 4 hours.
Okay.
I heard some people say 5 or 6 hours. I heard one guy say 3 hours. So 4 hours I think is more typical. And I did videos on my channel. If you want to see the game, I did 2 videos, a straight playthrough of the game. And so yeah, I'm talking about controls now. Yeah, like I said, the paddles felt great. I didn't have any control issues with the paddle. With the guns, they felt good. They were like kind of like auto stabilized. So I don't know if you like that or not. With sniping, it helped because so when you hold the sniper rifle, it feels, you know, it's not shaking at all. And when you bring it close to your eye, the scope just kind of like gets stuck to your eye, and so there's no like having to hold the scope and see it shake. So it was really easy to use.
Yeah, that's probably a smart way to handle that.
Yeah, definitely. But one thing that I don't know how you'd feel about this, like these guns are in like specific places, like your back, your chest, and then the sniper rifle is on the right side of your kayak. You pick them up, you use them, and then you can just let go, and they'll just immediately snap right back to where they were.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
That's a good question. I'd have to play it to give a legit answer, but I guess off the top of my head, I think you should put it back, right? Like, I like that. Like, again, we play a lot of Pavlov, and, you know, it's part of immersion, right? It's putting it back. You know, if the gun just snapped back, you'd be like, well, what is this? Especially because the game is trying to go, I'm guessing, towards, you know, somewhat realism, right? Like,
yeah.
It's not like an arcadey or cartoonish game where you can kind of allow that kind of behavior.
Yeah. Yeah, like the kayaking is so real that, yeah, it just felt a little strange that was just snapped back like had elastic bands on it. And then, when you run out of ammo, you pull a magazine from the front of your kayak, and you just put it in, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else.
It's kind of lame.
Yeah. So that's, you know, a negative. I wanted to say the first time I kayaked in VR was in a National Geographic Quest game, and that's when I first realized, wow, kayaking in VR can be really cool. That was a lot of fun, but I sold my Quest, so I can't play that anymore. But anyway, this game felt just as good as that did. So there are comfort options. I didn't use them. I never use comfort options. I turn off the vignettes. I turn off all of the like snap turning stuff. But I read a bunch of people were getting motion sickness with this game. I felt none, but I rarely have ever felt motion sickness. But like, I turned off all comfort and I had it on completely smooth. You know, the turning in this game, it was just like you're kayaking in real water. But on your controllers, you can hold down a button and it'll make it do a sharper turn. Because there are times where you need to like do a much sharper turn, and that helps a lot. So yeah, the immersion, aside from the gun snapping back and the ammo just going in and then like your gun's ready to go, it's really immersive because of the whole kayaking mechanic. And you have to use your hands a lot. Like there are places where you have to use a blowtorch to cut through metal, and you know you have to actually grab levers and pull them and use your hands a lot. So it was a really immersive game. And as far as lastability, there's lots of stuff you can unlock. You can unlock all these like there's even, you know how NBA Jam, remember how that had like big head mode?
Yeah. Yep.
This has big head mode.
Oh, cool.
Like there's all this crazy stuff like that that you can unlock. But then there's also challenge levels where you can do like races, kayak races, like, but they're like time trials. And then there's shooting range type challenges and stuff like that. But you have to do really well on the regular levels to unlock them. I didn't unlock a lot of them because I guess I didn't do well enough in the game. So my rating for this, I think I'm going to give this a 7.5 because it's only 4 hours long, but it's $29.99. I would recommend it, because of that price. Unless you don't like stealth. If you don't like stealth, because I know some people that just want to shoot everything and kill everyone. Well, probably not gonna like this game because you're gonna die a lot if you do that. Any questions? I think that's about it.
No, that's a good overview. I'm not really tempted on this game. I'm not a person who loves stealth.
Yeah.
In I don't know, in flat gaming. Maybe it's different in VR though. Like I think I was telling you this the other day. I'm like, yeah, maybe I would love stealth games in VR. I'm not sure. Maybe if it goes on sale, I'll grab it. But it doesn't. If you give like a 10 and it was like this is the best game ever, I don't care if it's stealth. Like I would grab it, kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
What game is Budget Cuts is like kind of like a stealth game, right? And I like that game.
Yeah, I
It's
like
one of my
Budget
favorite
Cuts
ones.
1 and 2 a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now I am curious to hear about Iron Man because people have been talking about this game for quite some time.
Yeah. Okay. Iron Man VR came out for PSVR by Camouflage. I had never heard of them, but I looked them up and they came out with a game called Republic VR.
Oh yeah, that just came out on Steam a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and I heard that's really good. But I haven't tried it. So this came out July 3rd for $39.99. So before I bought it, I heard that there are 12 chapters. So I was like, oh shit. Like I was like maybe not going to buy it, but then once I heard that, I was like, that sounds like a good amount of content. So I bought it and I haven't gotten to play it as much as I want. I'm on like, I think the 5th chapter now out of 12. So the overview is, obviously you're Iron Man.
I'm curious before you go into that. So
Oh.
you're on the 5th chapter out of 12. So how many play hours would you say you've played on it so far? I'm wondering how much content's here.
Maybe 3.
3 hours? Okay.
Yeah, maybe 3. Oh, I heard it's 8 hours of content.
Oh, that's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is. Yeah, so the overview, let me think. It's all right. So you're Iron Man, and you start out the game just kind of like hanging out with Pepper Potts, your assistant. Isn't she his lover too? I think so.
Well, like in the movies, they became romantically involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Because there are scenes where she's like dressed kind of provocatively, and I'm like, where's this going? I was like, all right. Hey, that was a plus for me. And that's early in the game. You're like, hanging out around the Stark Mansion, which is really nice. I actually like that, because you can sort of feel like you're a rich playboy type dude. And there's like really nice sunsets. There's all these windows everywhere, and you can see the water and the palm trees and all that. And you can. But one thing. When you're not flying, it's node-based teleportation. So there's no free locomotion, unfortunately. So did you ever play Batman Arkham VR?
I have not. Should I play that game?
Yes.
It's kind of older. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's good. And the graphics are still some of the best graphics in VR.
Okay.
But it's node-based like that. So like there's only certain places you can go. But once you get there, there's usually something for you to do or something for you to interact with. But you'll talk to Pepper. You'll go into your garage, and in there that you can mess with your suit and upgrade your suit. You can upgrade all sorts of things on that, which is cool. You can upgrade the types of weapons it has, the power, like armor, the your thrusters, all sorts of shit. And there's these 2 AIs that talk to you. There's Gunsmith, which is this male AI. That's the AI that basically helps you make all of your weapons and shit. And then there's this AI called Friday, which is the suit's own AI. And what's kind of weird is they get projected as these like human-looking holograms, and they communicate, like talk to you, and they even fight with each other throughout the game. And like, there's a whole story there, and it's actually, it's pretty good. But the main antagonist, that so far at least, is a character named Ghost. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Iron Man. I'm not really. I mean, I saw the movies, but I looked up Ghost, and that's an actual Iron Man, character. And so Ghost is mad at Iron Man for creating all the weapons that he has, and all the weapons have killed so many people, and so Ghost ends up hacking into Iron Man's fleet of drones and all sorts of shit. So in this game I've been fighting my own drones. It's Tony Stark's own drones, and trying to save the day in various places. Like the very first, there's a free demo for this game, and I recommend playing that because there's a cool scene where you're chasing a plane that Pepper Potts is on, and you're flying as Iron Man in the suit, and you're fighting drones and trying to save Pepper, and it's like really epic is the best word to say. It's just really, and the production values are really high. It feels really AAA because all the music and everything going on, and like the controllers are vibrating at the right time, and it just feels really well done. Like the characters look really good. Like they look about as good as you're gonna get on a PlayStation 4. But sometimes the environments don't look that great. Sometimes they look good. Sometimes they look like low res textures. And the problem is it's PSVR. With PSVR, you're never gonna get graphics as good as a PC. I mean, there's some games that look really good, but I mean they're usually a little bit lower res. The panel on a PSVR is 1080p. It's an OLED though, so it has nice bright colors, and it's an RGB stripe. So it has an RGB stripe just like Index and Rift S. So it's like very little screen door, but it's low res, so you have that problem. And the PSVR can't push lots of pixels, so you're gonna have aliasing issues. So you're like, if you're looking at straight edges, you're always gonna see that like staircase effect when you like turn your head. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't think so. I don't. Like, do you see that on PC VR games a lot? Because I don't.
Not as much.
Okay, I have very little experience with PSVR.
Okay, so like, even on a flat game, if you see a line that becomes diagonal, it'll become jagged. If it's not high res enough, you'll see a jagged line.
Yeah.
Well, you'll see a lot of jagged lines in PSVR.
Okay.
Maybe if you'd used a Vive or like maybe a Rift CV1, maybe you would have seen more.
Yeah, it'd be really hard for me to go back and use any of these now. Like we're just spoiled at this point with like the Index and everything else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So the game's graphics they're good for PS4. I'll say that. The sound is really good. There's enemies all around you, 360 degrees, shooting all over the place, and I felt like I always could tell where they were coming from. And I'm using Bionic Mantis headphones that I bought, third-party headphones that I put on my PSVR, instead of using the earbuds that come with it. I just did that because it's just easier for me to like take it on and off. It makes it more like an Index, but not as good. The sound is not as good as an Index on that. Let's see the controls. The controls are surprisingly good. So the jets come out of your hands. So you angle your hands and you press the trigger to pull the jets. And the angle of your hands, and you can put your hands behind your body if you want to go forward, and just angle them however you want. And it's really easy to control, when you're in flight. And so like, put your palms facing to the left and you're gonna go right. Put your palms facing to the right, you're gonna go left. And you can double click on the triggers, and then I'll do a boost, and so you'll get a really fast boost. And you can, like I said, you can upgrade it, and so you can make your suit even faster, and get like turbo thrusters and shit like that. And then it's like another big problem with PSVR is there's one single camera, and if you turn around, like 180 degrees, the camera can't see your hands usually because your body's blocking the controllers. So, you kind of got to worry about that. So sometimes I turned 180 degrees because I'm so used to PC where I can turn all I want. I like to physically turn. I don't really like using smooth or snap turn, personally. So I kept getting into trouble where I was, physically turning, and then it can't see my controllers anymore. So then I'd have to remember there are buttons. So on the left controller, there's a button to turn that way, and on the right controller, there's a button to turn to the right. But this game was better at compensating for that than most PSVR games. Like, if I wasn't in the middle of any crazy combat, I could fly. It seemed like I could fly accurately no matter what direction I was facing. So I could just do any of that. But like, there are scenes where there's 360 degrees all around you. There are drones and tanks and all sorts of shit shooting at you. That's when I felt like, all right, I got to start using these turn buttons. I had it on smooth turn, and I turned off all the vignette and all of that shit. So immersion, I was really immersed. When we're done with this, I'm gonna go back upstairs and play it until I have to go to bed. I really like it.
Nice. I'm happy to hear that they put out a good game like that, because usually when they get these licenses for like a Marvel game or something, it's like they phone it in because they let the strength of the license sell the games, and gameplay and everything else comes secondary, right? It's like they just kind of make a game to fulfill a contract, but it sounds like they actually put a lot of effort into this, and it's a legit real game.
Yeah, I never played that Marvel United Oculus game, but everyone said that wasn't very good. That's why I didn't buy it. But this game, yeah, I mean, this has got to be way better. This has got to be the best Marvel game there is for VR. I don't know what other ones there are. I mean, there's just like the Spider-Man Homecoming little demo thing, and that was pretty good. But this is way better than that.
Do you think there's any hope it's going to come to PC?
God, I hope. I mean, yeah, some of these PSVR games are coming to PC. Yeah, Republic was an Oculus exclusive, and it came to Steam, so maybe so.
Yeah, it'd be nice if maybe they have like a year agreement with PSVR, and so be it. But it'd be a shame if it didn't come out for PC VR, because I can imagine just how good it can look on that and how good it can really be.
Yeah, I'll buy it again for sure if it comes.
Nice. That's a ringing endorsement then.
Yeah. So last ability, I don't know. There are there's different armors you can unlock, but I don't care much about that stuff. I haven't beaten the game yet, so it's hard to say. But I mean, like I just said, I would buy it again, even if I beat it on PSVR. I'd buy it again. It would be such a great demo, this game. But I don't know. I might kill people if I put them in this. Because I don't know if you ever played Jet Island. This is like Jet Island, but like way more AAA.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people could handle it.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I have Jet Island, and it's intense for me. I mean, not like motion sickness. It's just like I guess I'm a person that has fear of heights. I mean, I guess that's just. I guess it's true. Like, I never thought about that before, but when I'm in Jet Island, like, I mean, that game's pretty damn cool. Yeah. But my hands will get sweaty, and I'm just like, whoa. Which is like, that's the cool part for me. I'm like, man, my body is just, my lizard brain just thinks that this is totally legit, totally real, and I'm just like, I'm really experiencing it to the max, which is to say too much sometimes.
Wow. Yeah, and Jet Island's graphics aren't realistic at all, so that's impressive for that game, like, convinces, as you said, your lizard brain.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's the graphics on Jet Island almost downright ugly, right? Like, it's just so basic, but like, I definitely get that feel of moving fast and being really high up in the air.
Yeah. Then damn, I'm curious how you'd react to this game.
I gotta tell my buddy Kevin. I gotta tell Kevin from Buffalo Pinball to grab it, and maybe I'll try it at his place. Although, man, I'm always disappointed. It's hard for me to hop into a PSVR game. Again, I don't have a ton of experience, but it just look. Let's be fair. It came out in 2016, right? It was good on them. 2016. I'm an Xbox guy, and I just see them dropping the ball constantly on VR. So I'm never gonna dog PlayStation. I commend them for doing VR. It's just tough to go back to it. But you're having a good time, and you got an Index, and you're enjoying it. So that's super cool.
Yeah. The only negative I can point out for sure is the load times are really bad. I don't know if it's a PS4 hardware issue because it's just a standard hard drive. It's not an SSD. I don't know if it's the game or the hardware, but like, yes, in between levels, sometimes you're standing there waiting for a while. It could be a minute. It could be maybe 2 minutes of just standing there.
Wow, that's like intolerable when you're a PC player.
Yeah. And I remember I got Bloodborne when that came out for PS4, and that's a game where you die a lot, and the load times were worse than Iron Man. They were terrible, and I sold it. I sold the game. I was like, I can't play this because I just keep dying and waiting at these load screens. Did you ever try Bloodborne?
No, I don't even know if it's for. Do they have a free Xbox?
Oh, well, they probably. No, I think that's an exclusive. It's out for PC now, I think.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't tried it.
It's just like one of these Dark Souls games where you fucking die constantly.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be my cup of tea.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you gonna give it for a rating? What can you say? Sounds like you're really impressed with the game.
Yeah. Do I rate it on a PSVR scale or a overall VR scale?
Why don't you rate it on a PSVR scale?
PSVR.
Yeah. Why don't you rate it on that scale? So we all understand it's as a PSVR game.
Okay, I haven't beaten it, but from what I've played so far, I'm gonna say 9.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. That's a go out and buy it.
That's
rating.
in the buy it category, yes.
Yeah, awesome. Like I said, I'm glad to hear it do well.
Yeah.
PSVR, man, they're crushing it. Those are the most people who have VR have PSVR. Last time I checked. Maybe if you can add up all of the PC VR headsets, it's more. But good on PlayStation, man. It's gotten a lot of people into VR.
And they have some great exclusives.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Listen, it's been a good podcast. I hope we helped you guys find some games to play this summer. Actually, we're coming up on a year of doing this podcast, so that's pretty cool. If you want to interact with us, you can write to us at vrgamingpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter as well, @podcastvr. You can check us out there. And we also started up a Discord server that I use mainly for just organizing games, but you can come on and talk about stuff with us. And just search for VR Gaming Podcast. But other than that, we'll see you next month. Take care.